ask ourselves, and we're always wondering, are we being fed something that we don't realize? Is there something happening that we aren't sure of? So I'm going to talk about, of course, advertising and branding first, and then I'll go into the political side second. So the first part is just stuff that we don't notice. It's something that we have just a little bit of a hint that is happening, but no one technically says it out loud. That, you know what? You're being sold to, sometimes overtly and sometimes covertly. So it's one of the things that you need to be aware of, is at any point someone could be trying to sell you something without you even knowing. So good advertisements are amazing, and they do several. They get your attention several different ways. One, they use emotional appeal. The one that I say is the best at using emotional appeal is Sarah McLachlan's angel song that is used for ASPCA. If you don't believe it, that is the longest song with the saddest animals, and it makes you just want to spend all your money helping those animals. It is so good at what it does that it gets your attention. We also see it with like sports. What they'll do is they'll put a patch on, where like NASCAR's over. NASCAR, they put all the advertisements on the car. They wear the hats. They switch the hats and they're taking pictures. I mean, they're just very overt about it. But then there's some subtlety that we also see. If you watch one of your favorite shows and you all of a sudden you see a Coke can, or you watch a car and you see the car logo and you know what the logo is, each time that that happens, it's intentional. They put it in there because they've either got an agreement, they've got a way that they think their audience will want to see it. The commercials in the shows that you watch also tell you about the people who watch it. I watch a lot of NCISs and FBI's. There's a lot of for older Americans, to be honest with you. And I'm like, I'm older, but not that older. But at the same time, it shows me who watches my shows with me. So it lets me know who they're catering to. Also, I got to watch out for things that are like everybody else is doing it, right? Those are all overt. Those are normal traditional versions. There's advertisements we see on billboards. There's advertisements we see in newspapers and magazines. Then there's the ads that you see in newspapers and magazines that are not really ads, or that are ads but are not articles. You'll see that for medications a lot. You'll see that for different drugs. It'll be an article and it looks like it's a medical article, but really it's an advertisement. So you got to be very, very careful. One of the ways to check all of that is look at the very bottom in the small print where it says who has paid for that particular advertisement, so that you know who the person that did it is working for. Well, because sometimes, thank you for the like, I appreciate that. Sometimes, this is Corbin Taylor, 3843, and BL Draper. Thank you so much. Hi. So these are important things, but sometimes what they're giving you is a research article, but really it's not. I said it is an advertisement. They're trying to get you to buy something. Thank you. I appreciate that, Dalen Crabtree. Well, Raylan, excuse me. Raylan Crabtree. So I really am looking at the idea of like, what can we do though when it comes to advertisements? And there's a whole nother world out there with AI. Well, because AI can make it sound like you, it can make it look like you, it can make it reason like you, and speak like you. So you have to be aware that that's happening. Now, in a lot of the programs, they require you to put in there that it's AI generated. I will tell you, you know what I'll use it for every once in a while? Writing a description. I don't do my videos. If you don't believe it, just watch them. Trust me, it's me. I said, well, because I make mistakes, I say things, I get tongue twisted, all the things. It's not cleaned up, it's not polished, it's not perfect. I'm okay with that. My authentic self is who I am, and I think that's important. So, also connecting with you and what's in my head, I want to get it out there for people to see it. So, there's that. But I also love, I'm a Mountain Dew person, right? So, who does Mountain Dew cater to? Skateboarders, people that are into extreme sports, and like snowboarders and parachuters and all the adrenaline rush people. I just like it. Pringles, I've always liked Pringles. That once you pop, you can't stop. I mean, seriously, these are things that we remember. There's advertisements that we remember. You guys that are in the chat, what is your favorite advertisement, or what is the product that you buy that an advertisement is something that's stuck in your head? We're from Oklahoma, so at Christmas time you'll hear BC Clark's jingle. They sing that every year. There's all these ways that it gets in your head that you're like, oh, I just wanted to buy that. Sometimes it's just the holidays, and it's a way for them to say, hey, check that out. Now, I also talked about relationship and business on the business side, how to build relationships, how to have the extreme customer service, make sure that you're taking care of your customers so that they want to come back. That is a very different thing than this kind of advertising. It's also putting their name up on an arena. You notice the arenas are all named after something. Paycom Arena, because the company Paycom paid for it. You'll notice that, so you'll see that on universities and buildings and things like that. People made donations, so their names get on the buildings. So advertisements are important. Branding is important. You need to recognize, all of you guys that are in my chat and everybody that's watching, that we are a brand. We're a brand whether we even like it or not, meaning everything that we say is part of our brand. So if I went and checked all of your Facebook feed or all of your socials and I looked at what you said, what would your brand say about you? Right? Because that's what I would look at. So let's say I don't know you, but I'm going to go in and I'm going to check your name and I'm going to go check all the things that you've said. When I get done, what is that? What is it going to say about you? Right? So that is an important thing to look at and be like, oh, wait a minute. These things talk about me. I also Google myself. Do you Google yourself? If you don't, you should, and put it in parentheses. Find out who has your name, find out what is out there about you. Why? Because then you can control a little bit of it and be like, okay, I know what's out there. So if somebody brings it up, it's like, yeah, there's a person who's like an anarchist that has my name, but the name is spelled a little bit differently, which is makes it a little bit different. I'm like, okay, a little different. At the same time, I do look at it. I know they've got my college stuff. I know they've got some of my political stuff, my wine stuff. There's all things out there about me, my degrees, some of them, where I went to school. So you can get that information just by Googling yourself. So it's good to know what is out there about you. I think it's important. And then I look at like, what do I want out there? I also put stuff out there knowing full well that I'm going to brand myself. I'm going to talk about what I want you to see. And that is truly Facebook, Instagram, all the social platforms. It truly is what you want to put out there. Everybody's like, it's real. It's not. It's not. We don't put in there every time we're feeling bad. Some people do. There are a couple of people that you know in your life that might put every time they feel bad, every time that things are going horrible, and you're like, do you follow them really? Not very long, huh? But we like to have our best self out there when we look the best, when we feel the best, when we're eating the best food, traveling the most, and it puts everything out there to showcase it. So when you're looking at all these feeds, you're like, why is my life not like that? Well, guess what? Your life probably is more like theirs than you know, but ultimately it shows up as perfect because they're only telling you what they want you to know. They're curating what they're putting out there, which is absolutely fair, but just know that when you're looking at these platforms, that's what's happening. One of the biggest things about this video today is I want you to be aware, because I'm going to switch and pivot in just a minute, and that is I want to do this about voting and about voting behavior. Excuse me. So when we look at the political world, there is a way that political campaigns work. There's a couple different ways. One, they can inspire. So there's a historically been a chance to inspire people. Meaning, I'm going to get up and tell you my vision for America, and you're going to be excited. You're going to get behind me. The movement is fantastic. It's going to work great, and all the things are going to be amazing. Then at the same time, you can have people that will use fear. Fear is a current tactic that they're using a lot. That is that someone is coming for something that you want, whether it is immigrants, whether it is somebody else, and they're using that to get you mad. Why? Because the more mad, the more scared you are, the more chance you will actually go to the ballot and vote. So they are looking at you going, if I make them mad enough, if I scare them enough, and they're worried about themselves, then they will go to the ballot box and vote. So listen to what people are saying. And if they're like, they're coming to take your health care, they're coming to take this, these people are coming to get this, these people are coming to get that, they're using fear to get you to vote. Right? Where I love it better when they're like, this is my policy, this is how it's going to help you, this is what it's going to do for your community, this is going to do for my family, and then I go vote. I want to vote for people, not against someone else. So that's important. They also will incite, meaning they will make you mad enough that you go do something for them. So again, you have to be aware that this is a tactic that is being used that is a very real tactic. People are simply going, I am going to get them mad enough that they will go and do something that I need them to do. And then I have my hands off of it. It's my hands are not off of it. I'm not going to get in trouble, but someone else will. So you again, you have to be aware that that's happening. And the way that you do that is look at it, go, would I normally do this? Is this something that I want to do, or is it something that I am being compelled or pushed to do based on what somebody is telling me? Then the second part of it is, where is the something that's telling me coming from? Is it coming from the candidate themselves? Is it coming from a pack or a group that's outside group that's trying to get you to do something? Is it somebody trying to scare you? Is it somebody trying to say, this is what we're dealing with? We need to all rally together and get together, and the movement goes together. Those are fantastic movements. They're fun when you do that. But the fear movements are a little scary. I said, not that we aren't afraid, because we have that natural inclination, and it might be that you're naturally afraid, and that's fine. That is the way that you vote. But ultimately, it is what can we do and how can we impact people. So I think that that is an important part of it. So when you are watching campaigns, particularly at the local, national, and state level, check the candidate. Watch them talk. If they are using language to scare you, I would be more concerned than if they're telling me what they're for. Because they have a vision if it's what they're for. If they are telling me what they're scared of, then what I am trying to figure out is exactly what are you for? If you're against everything, if you're against everything around you, then I'm like, what am I getting? When you get elected, what do I get? Because I've seen great campaigns and campaigns that fall flat because they don't do that. I need campaigns that are like, this is my vision, this is what America is going to look like, and then I get to look at it and go, is that the America I want? We are in the 250th year of the United States of America. It is an incredible year. I was born in 76, so I'm a bicentennial baby. So it is a very, very amazing time. And we have this incredible opportunity to go back and look at our history. Our history is not free of conflict. Our history is not clean all the time. It's kind of messy, but part of the us being us is the messiness. If we were all clean and it was all easy, then everybody would have a country like ours. But they don't, because it's messy, it's hard. But you know what? We are who we've been, which is the most incredible country in the world. The experiment that is the United States and America, no one else has been able to replicate. No one has ever been able to replicate it because it is unique. It is very unique. We have to always remember that the craziest thing was these wild founders of ours were pushing back against the king and queen and the Church of England. And they did not want those three entities to make rules for them. So they were a ragtag bunch of revolutionaries that were trying to get their point across to say, we want freedom to determine what we want. We want freedom to say what we want, and we want freedom of religion to ultimately worship the way we want to. And that was built into the foundations of the country. And I mean, and so these are all parts of who we are. And so when we get people that are trying to either change that or change the way that we express ourselves and the way that we do things, it's fine to progress. I think that is very important. While you look at civil rights movements, you look at the 14th Amendment, you look at women's rights movements. I think that's important because the culture changes. I said that is important. But when we take the foundation of the Constitution of the United States, the foundation of law, and the what law is and the right and wrong of law, then ultimately, and we just disregard it and we pretend like it doesn't exist, or we act like, well, we can do whatever we want. That is not smart. That takes the system and shreds it. The courts, that is their job. Their job is to interpret the law. And of course, the legislature, the Congress, the House and the Senate, it is to make the law. The president's job is to execute the law, is to take the laws from the Congress and go out there and put them into practice. And so sometimes we see all the other branches, the courts and the president, try and make law, and ultimately that is not smart. Why? Whether they are doing it through their opinion writing or they're trying to do it through executive orders, all of that. And this is not just one. I've had executive orders for many years, like lots and lots of years. But I think that's a way for them to make temporary law until the next person takes over. But we need to make sure, again, that we are looking at what is the best interest of us, best interest of our country, our neighbors, and the people around us, because ultimately we are only as good as the participation we have in the democracy that we are in. So if I am a voter person, I'm a person that if you don't vote, you don't bitch, and that's just the way it is. I have no other. I mean, you can abstain and say that's a way for you to say that. That's fine. But when I ask you, do you vote on a regular basis? I don't care who you vote for, but do you vote? And you say no, I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna hear Charlie Brown's teacher, wah 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 wah, because ultimately I'm like, when do you participate? When do you get involved? Is it, do you do petitions? Do you go How do you get involved? Maybe do community service. That's also involvement as well. So there's incredible ways that you can get involved. Do you watch city council meetings? Do you watch state meetings? Are you an advocate for an organization? These are all ways that you can get involved. And let's say you're under 18. Let's say you're not an 18-year-old yet. That doesn't mean you cannot be involved. That just means that you will be involved at a younger age. You start to advocate, you start to tell us what you're wanting, because when you turn 18 and you vote, you become a voting block, and people will look to that next voting block coming up and say, what is it that they want? And the way that you can get what you want, it is not lobbyists. I know people think that, but ultimately the way lobbyists work is like this. They pay for Congress, for representatives that agree with them. So they're not going to give more money to somebody that hates them. Why? Because that person's not going to spend the money the way they want them to, anyways. So they will look for people that agree with them, and they will give them money. So what that does do is it gives them money to be able to put their viewpoint out there. But very rarely do they go after somebody that does not agree with them. So that is something that is a mistake out there. People think, oh, well, they're trying to change everybody's mind. Not really, because that's a wasted investment. They need to give it to people that agree with them. So if you see that they have a PAC or a person that's a lobbyist paying them money, a lot of times that's probably the viewpoint of the legislator themselves. So be aware of that. Um, and then if they're on the fence or they're not sure, that's when lobbyists can come in. If they're like, they don't understand the subject matter, because sometimes a legislator will get stuff about farming in there from the city, or there's going to be urban issues that farmers are going to have to vote on. That's when lobbyists can come in on both sides and teach them and educate them and say, this is what we need, this is what we want. Maybe you don't know about cattle, maybe you don't know about land rights in rural Oklahoma, but ultimately we can teach you about that, and then that's a way for us to express ourselves and learn and get together. And those are where lobbyists are a good chance to do that. I am an advocacy person. I am vice president of advocacy for Oklahoma State PTA. Why? Because that is important to me, Parent Teacher Association, and we do that for statewide. And I get to go out of state soon and do that in Washington. I'm excited. So I do hope that you guys have gotten something out of this video. It's a little bit longer than my usual, but if you haven't yet, subscribe, like and subscribe. I appreciate it. You guys are amazing, and the more subscribers I get, the better. My goal is to hit that 4,000 watch hours and that 1,000 subscribers. The reason I want to be able to get paid, why? Because when I get paid, I get to spend it on my wife, and ultimately I will take her on a trip, and it's a trip she's been dreaming about. That's my goal. So I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you so much, and you are absolutely incredible.